Have you ever noticed that the men who chase rarely win? They chase approval. They chase validation. They chase women. They chase outcomes. And yet, it all slips through their fingers. Why? Because chasing is a symptom of neediness. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. A man who chases reveals something crucial. He's not centered. He's not grounded. He's not in control of his energy. He's reacting to the world instead of commanding it. But a stoic man? He doesn't move with desperation. He doesn't beg, plead, or pursue. He builds. He sharpens. He attracts. Women are drawn to him not because he's flashy or loud, but because he's still. Stillness is rare. Stillness is powerful. Stillness is magnetic. This is not about tricks, pickup lines, or manipulation. This is about becoming unshakable. In this video, we'll break down why chasing is weak, why powerful men don't chase, and how you can transform yourself into the kind of man who doesn't need to chase, because everything begins to move toward him. Let's break down the man who chases. He waits for replies. He double texts. He overthinks every word. He gives too much too fast. He lowers his standards. He apologizes for his masculinity. He projects his worth outward, seeking validation from women, social media, likes, followers. This man isn't unattractive because he's ugly. He's unattractive because he's empty inside. He acts like he's choosing her, but he's really hoping she'll choose him so he can feel like he matters. Chasing reveals emotional dependence. It reveals that you have not yet built a life so full, so meaningful, so intense, that no one's approval is required to make you feel whole. The chaser gives away his power. He says with every gesture, "I am not enough unless you give me something." The moment you chase, you become the hunter, and she becomes the prize. But in Stoicism, you are the prize. You don't run. You don't hunt. You build and let others come to you. Here's the deeper truth. Chasing isn't just unattractive to women. It's corrosive to you. Every time you chase, you disconnect from your mission. Shrink your masculine presence. Teach your subconscious that you are not enough. You are literally training your brain to believe that you are incomplete without external validation. That's spiritual suicide. Chasing isn't love. Chasing isn't leadership. Chasing is weakness disguised as desire. The Stoic does the opposite. He reverses the energy flow. Instead of chasing, he attracts. How? By working, by training, by studying, by healing, by building. When you become so focused on your purpose that you forget to chase, you win. Not just in dating, in life. You don't become magnetic by being agreeable. You become magnetic by being so rooted in who you are that others feel safe and inspired in your presence. This is the essence of Stoicism. A Stoic man lives by internal principles: virtue, temperance, courage, wisdom. He is calm under pressure. He doesn't lash out emotionally. He doesn't base his identity on likes, followers, or how fast someone texts back. And because he is rare, he is valuable. Modern men have been taught to impress, to flatter, to win over. But the Stoic man doesn't perform. He embodies strength. And women, deep down, crave that kind of gravity. A man who doesn't need attention always gets it. Let's get real. You've probably heard that women want confidence. But let's unpack what that really means. Confidence isn't loud. It isn't cocky. It isn't bragging. Confidence is the absence of need. A man who doesn't need a response. A man who doesn't need validation. A man who doesn't need her to feel okay about himself. That is the man she can't forget. Why? Because in a world full of men who chase, he walks away. He's not cold. He's composed. He's not bitter. He's balanced. He's not insecure. He's centered. And that presence, it's rare. And women feel it. They sense when you're whole. They feel when your energy isn't reaching toward them. That's why they reach for you. The more detached you are from needing her, the more she leans in. Not because you're playing games, but because you're living by a higher code. Women are intuitive. They can tell the difference between a man who wants her to complete him and a man who has already completed himself. The first makes her feel drained. The second makes her feel safe. So if you want to attract women, not just temporarily, but powerfully, stop chasing and start embodying. In ancient Stoic teachings, one trait stands out above all: apatheia, the ability to remain unmoved by externals. It doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you are anchored. Imagine a man sitting in the eye of a storm, calm, collected, silent. That's the energy of the Stoic. And that's the energy that makes you magnetic. Most men are moved by every little thing: a delayed reply, a vague text, a glance from a stranger, an unfollow on Instagram. But the Stoic man? He doesn't flinch. He doesn't fume. He doesn't fold. He observes. He breathes. He acts with intention, not impulse. This stillness isn't just attractive. It's dangerous in the best way. Why? Because it shows you have power over the one thing that controls everyone else: their emotions. Women trust that. Men respect that. And the world follows that. Stillness is not an action. Stillness is choosing your response with wisdom. Stillness says, I am not moved by what is outside of me. I move from within. You don't need more techniques. You need more truth. The Stoic doesn't chase outcomes. He builds empires, internal empires. His self-worth doesn't rise and fall based on who approves of him. He wakes up with fire, regardless of who texts back. He understands. The man who cannot sit alone with himself is not free. So he spends time alone. He reflects. He journals. He sits in silence. Not because he hates the world, but because he must master his own. He reads instead of scrolling. He lifts iron instead of lifting egos. He meditates instead of arguing online. The inner empire is everything. Because when your mind is a fortress, nothing can shake you. You walk into a room and people feel your presence. Not because you're loud, but because your energy is sovereign. That's the Stoic's secret. He doesn't beg for entry, he becomes the gatekeeper. And as you build your inner empire, the world outside begins to mirror your power within. Here's the truth most men avoid. You cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. And self-leadership begins with emotional mastery. Not suppression, not numbness, but sovereignty. You feel the emotion, but the emotion doesn't control you. You feel anger, but you don't explode. You feel attraction, but you don't chase. You feel fear, but you move forward anyway. That's emotional power. Most men react. Few men respond. And those few, they rule. Because in a world of chaos, the calm man becomes king. When you master your emotions, you stop being manipulated by women, media, society, even your own past. You make decisions from clarity, not from craving. You become dangerous in the most noble way. So how do you build emotional control? You journal daily. You breathe before responding. You fast from dopamine, porn, junk food, social scrolling. You train your body because discipline in the flesh fuels discipline in the mind. Control yourself or be controlled. That's the law. Energy is the new wealth. Where you place your focus determines your future. The Stoic man protects his energy like gold. Because every scroll, every gossip, every desperate interaction steals from your life's momentum. Ask yourself daily, what's draining me? Who am I allowing into my mental space? Is this decision feeding my future or starving it? You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. Energy is precious. A man who leaks energy cannot build. He cannot attract. He cannot command presence. So the Stoic does something radical. He creates boundaries. He doesn't entertain drama. He doesn't justify his silence. He doesn't explain his peace. He simply lives it. And that purity of focus, it makes him unstoppable. Protect your energy. Guard your mind. Direct your days. Because one powerful day, focused, grounded, silent, can change everything. Let's end where most men never begin. Purpose. Chasing people leads to exhaustion. Chasing purpose leads to evolution. Your highest calling will never beg for your attention. It will whisper, challenge, demand, and reward. When you are locked into your path, you no longer compete. You no longer perform. You no longer chase, you create. Women feel this shift. When you stop orbiting them and start orbiting greatness, they become drawn to your gravity. Because purpose is the most masculine force on earth. It gives you depth. It gives you fire. It gives you meaning. You don't need to win her over. You need to become a man worth remembering. So what are you building? What are you mastering? What will remain of you when you're gone? This is the Stoic's way. Not to chase, but to choose. Not to follow, but to forge. Chase nothing. Build everything. And in that space, you become irresistible.